Welcome back to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Juan Gonzalez. We're here with Danny Glover, actor and activist, but we have been able to reach Amy Goodman in Haiti, in Port-au-Prince, and she joins us now by telephone. Welcome, Amy.
It's great to be with you both, with you, Juan, with you, Dan. I'm also here with Sharifa Belkadous. Democracy Now! Made it down to Haiti this weekend, and it has been, well, let's use the Creole word. It's te tremble, which means the earth trembles. That's Creole for earthquake, or in French, tremblement de terre, right? The trembling of the earth. Haiti is shaken to the core. It is devastated, as if a bomb, many bombs exploded throughout Port-au-Prince, and it goes beyond, where help has not yet arrived at all, though I don't want to make it sound like there is much help in Port-au-Prince at this point. The smell of death hangs in the air everywhere. People who are masks, or they just use bandanas or kerchiefs. You know when you're passing a house that has dead bodies in it. We just were racing along the road to try to get a connection to be able to speak with you. Signs in English, because that's what people think aid workers will respond to. Say, along one building, dead bodies inside, along another. And we're in the capital of Haiti. We're in Port-au-Prince, where if there are any services, most of the services are. Another sign said, we need help. We need water. We need food. And this is a situation all over Haiti. I was just speaking with a doctor, doctors who came in from Denver Children's Hospital and local hospitals in Colorado to somehow give relief. And he said when they came into the airport, they were shocked by the massive tents. Those tents contain aid, and also he said they were filled with soldiers, with doctors, with aid workers. And he said he could only think, why here? Why at the airport? Why not going out through Haiti? And what we did yesterday is what few journalists have done. We left Port-au-Prince, and we went along the coast to Carrefour and to Léogâne. This is the epicenter. This is where the United Nations issued a statement saying they acknowledge 90% of the buildings were down, that thousands of people were dead. But they said unless they could ensure security, they would not be providing aid there. Now, this is tremendously frightening. As we pass through the epicenter, a young man hailed down our car, and he said, please, we see some helicopters overhead, but they don't stop here. We have no aid. We have no food. And then moving into Léogâne, this old city of dignity, the city where the church is the church where Jean-Jacques Dessalines was married, that's about to celebrate its 500th anniversary. A grief-stricken priest outside said, please help us. It is in shambles. The steeple is buried in the rocks below. And the most frightening is when you see people digging with their bare hands or with mallets or with hammers, trying to get their loved ones out of the building. That is the image of Léogâne. We talked to a young man who was there digging through cement. Imagine your porch, and you take your bare hands or a mallet, and he is digging. He's covered in dust, in cement dust. And we asked him, what are you digging for? And he said, my grandfather. He said, my grandfather, we asked how he knew he was there, because he had made a circle, and he was digging within this circle. But, of course, while he was standing at our level, this was the second floor, not the first. And he said that his grandfather had gone into the kitchen to get his grandmother something to eat, and that's when the earthquake struck, the te tremble, he said. And that's why he knew just where his grandfather was. And he had been digging for hours, in fact, had just dug out his neighbor, a woman who was 25 years old, formed that same circle, and she was on the couch where she had rested after preparing dinner, and they had just brought her body out. The smell was overwhelming. People everywhere pulling at us, come to my house, no, to mine, to mine. We went to a house. Again, remember, it is as if we are looking at a bombscape, and we don't even know where one house ends and another begins. And a group of young and old men and boys are standing at this house, and they show us to climb in the rubble, and we get up, and they have climbed again, made that circle, and they had smashed through it with mallets, with their hands, with hammers, and we saw the bassinet. They had just pulled out a 1-year-old boy and buried him in the reeds, next to the girl of 25, some other young people, and where the young man's grandfather would hopefully be if he could find his body and bury him with dignity.
Amy,
these are the scenes of Haiti.
Amy, I'd like to ask you, it's been now almost exactly a week since the quake. What about the living? There are about 130,000 people in Leogane. Are they getting water? Are they getting any kind of assistance to be able to stay alive?
They are getting almost no help. We went from one family to another, and they said it continually, their lives are in the hands of God. The UN itself made the statement about security, and we wanted to know what was it they were referring to. We walk freely from one place to another, people desperate but certainly peaceful. You know, Juan, what it looks like where people are, they have formed, and it's remarkable. As Sister Mary Finnick said to us, where in Port-au-Prince, at a place called Matthew 25, it was a hospitality house that has now become a house of hospitality for over 1,000 people in the soccer field next door. There are camps, refugee camps all over. In Leogane, some are smaller, some are larger. We would look behind cars, and people had erected with sheets and with anything that could protect them from the sun. You would look inside, and there would be many women, children, men laying on sheets on the ground. If they were lucky, they had been able to drag out mattresses on chairs, on car seats, and they're there. Wherever you go, and in the main plaza, you have more than 1,000 people who are gathered. And all they ask for food, they ask for water, they ask for search and rescue equipment, although, of course, at this point, it is hard to imagine that people could survive. But, you know, sometimes they can. As we went through the airport on Sunday, a woman was being brought in, and people are brought in on doors, carried in by sheets. Or you'll see sometimes, if you're lucky, the idea, a woman was being put on a plane to Miami. And we asked, where had she come from? And they said, from the Caribe market, you know, a shopping place in Port-au-Prince. She had just been pulled out on Saturday morning. That's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. She was surrounded by her sisters, and she was being put on a plane. She is one of the lucky ones. The stories of people hearing the moaning day after day, their babies, their mothers, their fathers, their grandparents. They are simply asking for the support of a civilized world, and to be told that the UN is concerned about security before they'll give aid. This is what is of grave concern to people. And, you know, it's interesting. I asked the mayor of Leogane, what he would think, what he thought first of President Obama calling on President Bush and President Clinton, the three of them standing side by side, saying they wanted to show this face of unity, past and present presidents, that they were together in this effort to help save Haiti. I asked Mayor Santos of Leogane, what would he think of President Aristide returning home? He has spoken, you know, from South Africa. He had spoken and said he wants